We're following breaking news in the case of 10-year-old Jayden Spicer. He was missing for a week, then found dead in a shallow grave in Kentucky. This is now a murder case. The boy's mom is no longer just facing a charge of manslaughter. Here is video of her in court today per WKYT TV. She's also no longer the only person facing charges related to the death of her 10-year-old son. We're on the case presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. You might remember when Jayden Spicer first went missing, his mom and stepdad told authorities that they woke up one morning and the 10-year-old boy was gone. But there was much more allegedly to that story than they were letting on, and today we saw his mom in court and she is now accused of murdering young Jayden Spicer. This is video per WKYT, Felicia Gross in court, her case now being sent to a grand jury. Here is what the prosecutor said today.
In Jayden's short life, he got less than he deserved.
Here's what we know about Jayden's short life. He reportedly had only been living with his mom and stepdad for a short period of time after his grandmother passed away. They all lived in a small rural Appalachian town outside Lexington, Kentucky called Jackson, population roughly 2,200 people. And it was from that home on August 6th around 9:30 in the morning that his mom and stepdad called police saying that Jayden was gone. Now, as police searched for her son using drones, helicopters, sonar, Felicia Gross released this statement. It was a handwritten note. She didn't say anything publicly to the media, but released this saying, quote, "We love Jayden and want him safe at home. Please, if anybody see my son Jayden Spicer, please report it to the Jackson Police Department. Thank you. We love him very much. Please do the right thing. Call the police. Please pray for us and my son Jayden. Thank you." Now, people did track down Felicia Gross and her husband Josh as Jayden was missing. These YouTubers, we spoke to them. They run the Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures channel. They spoke to the couple outside their house in Jackson.
This is Fred and Sheila McCoy. We just come out looking around, see if we could find Jayden anywhere.
Now, the Gross's story initially to law enforcement was that the last time they saw Jayden was Tuesday night, August 5th. It was around 9:30, then everybody goes to bed, they wake up the next morning, and young Jayden is gone. But then, almost exactly 1 week later, police say they received new information that led them to a wooded area where they found Jayden's body. It was about a half hour south of Jackson, and they found his body in a shallow grave. Felicia Gross, Jayden's mom, was put under arrest, and she was charged with manslaughter. That's initially what this case was. All of that changed today, though. We have the criminal citation from her arrest last week, and this is the narrative that she gave authorities when she allegedly came clean. She said when she was brought in for an interview, she was given her Miranda rights. What really happened was that she gave Jayden a sleep medication Tuesday night, and he had some sort of medical emergency, she believes, and that is what caused her death. But instead of calling the authorities or medical doctors to come and help her son, she hid his body. His body was found in a plastic tote in that shallow grave. And not only did she allegedly do that, she allegedly confessed to police that she, quote, coached Jayden's siblings to lie about what happened. They were both interviewed by specialists. She's also charged with tampering with a witness because of that. And today, her partner, Jayden's stepdad, her husband, was arrested in connection to Jayden's death. His name is Joshua Gross. Felicia's charges were upgraded to murder, as we told you, and that is why Josh Gross is facing charges including complicity to murder. He's also facing a charge of complicity to report an incident, tampering with physical evidence, abuse of a corpse, and complicity to tamper with witnesses, and he's now in custody. The McCoys spoke to him on their YouTube channel outside their house, both Felicia and Josh, and this is what Josh said about the investigation, all of this while Jayden was still missing.
We talked to the police, cooperate every step of the way.
But according to this indictment, that was not true. It says that the story that he gave to police, that his wife gave to police, it was false, and they allegedly knew that. And he also knew, allegedly, that Jayden was given that sleep medication that his wife claims killed her son. Gross is also allegedly complicit in coaching those younger children about what to tell authorities when Jayden was missing. We know that Josh Gross right now is being held on $1 million bond. He did make an appearance in court today. Now, as far as how this case could go forward. This is a story that has struck the hearts of so many people in Appalachia. And you heard that prosecutor at the beginning of this episode talking about how Jayden didn't get what he deserved. This is part of the statement that the prosecutor released today to the public, saying, quote, "On a personal note, as a mom of two that are my life, even the idea of this event seems unfathomable. But here we are in this unimaginable place. In Jayden's short life, he got less than he deserved, so we are going to give him everything we have got in ours." In doing research for this story, I put Josh Gross's name in TruthFinder, and I got a lot of information that helped me understand a little bit better of where he came from. At Law&Crime, we partner at TruthFinder, and we use it to get details on the people involved in our stories. But even if you don't work in true crime, this can be an excellent resource to give you some peace of mind, as it's one of the largest public record search services in the United States. And with the paid subscription service, you get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And right now, you can get 50% off your first month of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/OTC. I did speak to Fred and Sheila McCoy last week before the news came out about Josh Gross's arrest. At that point, Felicia was just charged with manslaughter. But we think it's important that you hear our interview with them, because they did interact with the Grosses, and they heard what authorities are now saying were complete lies. Listen to what Fred and Sheila McCoy told us. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about this, two YouTube creators who are covering this story from the ground in Kentucky, Fred and Sheila McCoy. They run the Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures account on YouTube. Be sure to go check it out, including the video related to the search for Jayden Spicer. And let's start there. How did you come upon this story?
You saw it on the news, like everybody did. And when we first saw it, we kind of figured it was going to take the police. We didn't think that it would do a lot of good to be searching. We figured from the beginning that this was something dealing with the mother and the stepfather. And so we didn't start searching or doing anything till into the 5th or 6th day.
Right.
And we really didn't have a lot of faith, I guess, to thinking we were going to find anything. We figured who done something that it wasn't going to be something somebody would find him in a search. It was going to take somebody that knew where the child was at. We just felt that way.
Because I know in your video you went to the Gross house where Jayden was living. And for people who haven't seen your video, walk us through what you saw and what happened when you went there.
Well, we had talked. We made a video on the way there. It's live, and you don't see it that good on our channel. But we talked on the way up there live that we were heading to Jackson, and we had was going to search for Jayden.
It seems like the home that they were living in, it was in, and I know Jackson and that county is very rural, but you know, you were yelling out to, I think, the stepfather outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
What did you see when you were looking at the home? And just what stood out to you, just your initial impressions of where Jayden was living?
Well, it was you could see by the pictures, the condition and what they live like. That's not unusual. That's not unusual anywhere in the United States, in certain neighborhoods and things like that. So what we seen was a lot of trash, especially out back.
Mm-hmm.
But when we pulled up, I went to the door and knocked on to the front. Then I knocked on the back. Nobody came, and I didn't hear any movement in the house or see any curtains rattling. And I came back and told Sheila that we'd go ahead and search. We didn't see no trespassing signs, so we was going to go ahead and look around. And we thought it was unusual that the dog was there. That was the first thing. We had talked on the way there. We'd made us a list of things in our mind that if we should get a chance to talk to these two, of questions we would ask. And we pretty much ask, we asked a lot of the questions. We didn't get them all asked. He finally said, he told us 2 times that he had a lawyer or lawyers. And then the last time he started walking off and said, that's done. I'm not talking anymore. And so we didn't get to ask everything.
And this was all because you spoke, so if you watch the video, you speak to the stepfather, who at the time of this recording, he has not been arrested or charged. At this point, Felicia Gross has been. But this was all while Jayden was still missing. His body had not been found.
Right.
And did you get the sense that there was urgency from, was Felicia, well, let's start there. Was Felicia at the house? Did you
Yes.
meet her?
Yes,
Yes.
when they came back, we went to the top of the hill following tracks first, and we come back down. The tracks just stopped. We came back down and stopped at the edge of the cliff. And we said, well, we'll rest here and we'll see if there's any movement, if anybody comes out of the house, because both the blue truck was there and the red car. Red car's license are up to date on it, the tag.
Right.
So we thought that was the car they were driving. Well, it wasn't. They came home in a truck a few minutes later and pulled out back and parked. When they come out towards the back door, he saw our vehicle parked in front of
Yeah.
his
Mhm.
trailer driveway, and he pointed up on the hill. Now, whether he could see us or whether he was just pointing, we were behind. If you look at that video, there's tree limbs and there's
Foliage, yeah.
concealment foliage in front of us. But he kept pointing, and I told Sheila, I said, he sees us. I don't know how he did, if he did or if he was just pointing in that basic area. But finally, I yelled at him and said, Josh. And he said, yeah, who is that? I told him it's Fred and Sheila McCoy. And a lot of people between the YouTube channel and other things that we've done, we get recognized quite a bit. And I thought that he would recognize the name, but he hadn't heard of us. When we went off the hill, we told him we'd like to talk to him a minute. He said, I got just a minute. And him and her come out to the driveway.
With the child. There was another little child there too.
Yeah. Had a child with them. And I asked him if we could, we went ahead and put our phones in our back pocket, because we kind of figured he wasn't going to want to be on video. We figured that, but so we went ahead and hit record, and that's why there's so much static. But we wanted to have the recording anyway, at least the vocal. And he said no, he didn't want to be on video. He had a lawyer, and the lawyer had advised him not to talk to nobody. And so we just started shooting off questions that we had discussed on the way up. Both of us was just, you can't hear both of us at the same time. Sometimes Sheila's, we're talking together. And the questions we were asking was, we could see, the body language, we didn't say it on our video. We said it on a video on the way home. We
Right.
talked on the way home and said, well, if it works out like this, we know that what we thought.
Mm-hmm.
But, just like right now, just like you talking about Josh, there's only one charged as of right now. And they only had the truck, the vehicle. And we went up there yesterday to where the shallow grave was dug, and she didn't dig no grave by herself to bury a tote. She's had some help. Who it was, I don't know. And she didn't pull the little fella up there with the tote. So there's somebody else that's involved with her. But we could see the nervousness, and we could see that
She didn't shed a tear, nothing. She didn't get upset when we mentioned his name. She just would look at Fred, or when Josh would say something, she would look at him.
she didn't want to. She only looked at Sheila. Sheila asked her about the graveyard or something, but it was like a mother on mother thing. Like, she did not want to look at Sheila eye to eye. It was real. And like Sheila said, she was nonchalant. She was, of course they offered, look all you want, look all you want. And after they left me, and not on video, because we didn't want to, what if they wasn't involved?
Exactly.
Or we didn't want to falsely accuse, but we said, we'll go ahead and look around just to be nosy. We're not going to find nothing here. They're too eager for you to search.
Confident.
Yeah, you could tell there was nothing. We weren't going to find nothing there.
Because when you spoke to both of them, again, this was at the time when Jayden was still missing, and you have this massive search going on across Kentucky trying to find him. Was there any sort of, I know that they didn't have the body language where it seemed like they were pretty nonchalant about it, but like, had they been searching? I know she like released a letter, but that was really it. But they had already lawyered up by the time you had talked to her.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're the only I guess they'd talk to law enforcement to file the missing persons, but I think Sheila and I are the only people that they talk to, period,
That we know of,
at,
yeah.
at any length, especially. And like I said, I talk fast, and we were shooting the questions out, and we were real nice. They were
Yeah.
nice to us. We thanked them, they thanked us, but that's part of investigating. That's part of being an investigator. When you talk to somebody, you didn't want to go in there, and be accusatory
Right.
and get them off on the negative right off the bat. We were very, when he said, yeah, look all you want. And I said, yeah, that's the attitude that you should have. That's the way a father or stepfather or whatever I said, that's the way you should be. I would be surprised if somebody said, no, you can't look for my missing child. And he said, no, you look all you want. We have nothing to hide. They brought the dogs in the house. They,
Search the property.
search
Yeah.
the property. But question Sheila and I've had the last day or so pondering on this is they took dogs in there, and I assume search and cadaver dogs. If the child passed away in the house, why didn't the dog even to that alert? Even though there's no decay and stuff, they would still. The dogs are trained. And Sheila brought up an interesting point today, which was sad, because she said, Fred, what if she had drugged the child so much that he's sleeping so hard that she thinks that he's deceased, and she's went and put him in a grave, and then that child
Woke up.
Now imagine that. And the dog, again, I don't know what dogs were there or if they alerted. But it's something to think about, that child very well. Now the coroner will be able to, or the ME will be able to figure that out and see if there's any dust or dirt or anything in his lungs. But can you imagine a 10-year-old child waking up and being inside of a tote and don't know how he got there or where he's at? And
No, I mean, it's
miserable.
terrifying to think about. Sheila, for you, I mean, you looked Felicia Gross in her eyes, and we've seen her. She was in court today, through a video feed. What did you see when you looked in her eyes and spoke with her?
I just saw blank. I didn't see any, like I said, I didn't see anything. She just shook my hand, said, I'm Felicia. And I said, I'm Sheila, and then when she was talking about, Canoe, where the grandmother was, she looked at me then and said that, but there was nothing there. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it. She just had this blank expression, just, carefree. It didn't make sense. She wasn't like, well, people handle things different ways, of course. Some people cry, some people don't. But she just acted like carefree, normal thing. It wasn't like it was no big deal to me, in my opinion.
Sheila told them when we turned
When
them,
we
they
were
started to
leaving.
walk off. They were done with the interview, and Sheila said, we're going to find that boy. We're going to find that boy. And we went ahead and walked back to the vehicle and took our phones out. But
Did they have any response to that when you said, we're going to find your child?
no, he was already walking off because he said, he's done.
Yeah.
But we got through a lot more than we thought.
Yeah.
We was surprised that we talked as long as we did. It's hard to hear on there, and it cuts in and out. But they answered a lot of our questions as far as the thing we talked about on the way up there was where the great grandmother lived.
Right.
And if the boy did run off, we asked him if Jayden was grieving his grandmother's death, and he said, oh yeah, he was grieving her death. There's a photo Sheila put on a video today of when he lived with his grandmother, and look at now. He's lost weight and all this and that. You can tell he's not circles underneath his eyes. You can tell somebody failed this young man. The system failed him. They sent him to his death sentence. I mean, it's as plain and simple as that. If we've got somebody that was in charge of that young man and those children, there they were with another child with them. And I told Sheila, I said, on our way home, looks like they would, at least until this is over with, if you've lost a child, and we've been on other searches for other children that's come up, some still not recovered,
Right.
but looks like they would at least, out of caution, remove all the children until this is settled. But thankfully that one there is okay.
What was the moment like when you discovered the bag that had Jayden's clothes in it?
That was insane.
That was confusing, and we've
Yeah.
had plenty of time to think. Now, when we've people's commented, and some people says, well, it could be a scent bag for the dogs. There was so much clothing in that, and so much clothing around that. Why would you want to contaminate his clothing with other dogs sniffing and smelling? Why wouldn't you just give one? Now, I had a brother that was a canine officer for our sheriff's department at one time, and you would try to get something of that subject, just one article of clothing. Didn't take, if that's what that is. Now, we didn't know that at the time and still don't know it. Nobody's contacted us, but somebody wrote on our page and said that could be a scent bag for the dog. Well, they would contaminate each other. Now, we got out there to put our boots on. Sheila was getting hers on. I'm looking around because our plan was to go in behind his trailer and on both sides of because we figured if he did come out of the house, if he did leave by chance, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, that would have probably been the area that he went or down the road. Like Sheila says, why would he come out and go up a hill to a dead end? But while we're standing there, I looked down, I thought it was trash. And then I raised it open, and this is children's clothing. The scent bag, if it was a scent bag, why was there underwear and t-shirts and different other articles still in plastic bags sealed up? So Sheila and I, still open-mindedly, we said, could he have been going to run away? Maybe he planned, missing his grandmother, planned on running away. And we start looking around. The weeds are down in one direction. We go over there to the hill, and there's looks like one set of tracks, 2 footprints going up that hill. And we started following that. We got up there, and there's no other footprints for any other searchers. We thought, well, if it's a search party, there'd be more. And we followed those 2 footprints all the way up to a flat, way up on the hill, clear as they could be, small footprints, and got up there, and they disappeared.
When it was announced the arrest of Felicia Gross, and again, she's the only one who's been charged at this point, and then she tells this story, according to police, that she gave Jayden some sort of sleeping medication. He has a medical emergency. That's how he died. And then she takes him to, 30 minutes away to this shallow grave location. Was there anything that you thought about in that moment related to your conversation that maybe you didn't before?
No, I thought about the charge, wanting endangerment or a manslaughter second.
I know when cases are pending, sometimes information isn't released, and we'll see how the prosecutors in this one kind of play it. I know you said you went to the area where the body was found. And it's been described as a wooded, shallow grave in a wooded area is where Jayden's body was found. What stood out to you about that location?
Well, Sheila and I, we made a video on it. It's not out yet, but we searched. It's a cornfield. It's across from John Little Road or Fork, off of right on Canoe. Little road goes up into the middle of what used to be a cornfield, and then there's a cemetery. Little cemetery is back on the hill. We don't know. We were all over the area.
Yep.
As of right now, I'm sure we was within 5 feet of it because we were everywhere, but they've covered it back over with debris or something. And there's no evidence markers. There's no tree markers. There's where you'll do a triangulation or try to measure for court purposes, which makes me think maybe there is a plea agreement because it doesn't look, if we were in the right place, it doesn't look like
anything was disturbed or
it was the crime scene investigated. Now, I think we was in the right place because we found 2 pairs of surgical gloves, black surgical gloves, and we filmed them. But one of them was on one end of the field where you can see where vehicles had been in there. I figured it was the coroner's vehicle when I first saw that one. But then we went up to the cemetery, and there's another pair of gloves down below the cemetery off the hill. A fellow recognized us up there. We went to get us a drink, and somebody behind me said, Fred McCoy, out of the blue, and we're not from that area. So I said, where do you know me from? Because as a 40-year police officer, a lot of times it's somebody I've had dealings with. And he said, YouTube, I follow you on YouTube. And we said, we've been trying to find that place. He said, I'll show you where it's at. But we thought he was going to show us the exact spot. But he took us back to the cornfield where we had done been.
Yeah.
And so as of right now, I mean, it's in that area where she's supposedly buried. But that ground is harder than my head. And it's unless we've really overlooked something, it was off the road more than what I think a woman could pull a, you know, you've heard the old saying, dead weight. Dead weight is exactly what it means. It's not like pulling somebody by the arms that's going with you. When you're dead, you've got dead weight there. And I know he didn't weigh that much, but she didn't do this alone.
Yeah.
In my opinion, in 40-year law enforcement career.
Well, yeah, and I mean, for both of you to have spoken with her and to then see the developments of how this case went, I mean, I'm sure it's just been, it's emotional for everybody with how this went from a missing person case to a criminal case. And I want to thank both of you for joining us to talk about this. I know you're doing a lot of hard work, and we'll continue to watch on the Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures YouTube page. Fred and Sheila McCoy, it's great to have you on Law&Crime. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law&Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.